There hasn't been this much action in the MPV space since the original Toyota Innova, and guess what? There's a new contender with the Innova in its sights, and it's this, the Mahindra Marazzo. We're at the Mahindra test track in Chakan. Obviously, it's a test track. We're going to drive it and see just how good this all-new car on an all-new platform with an all-new engine is. But before we get to driving the all-new Marazzo, here are some of the details we think are worth knowing. First off, the name. We're told it translates to shark and was chosen since that's the running design theme across the car. For example, the front grille has a shark tooth design with shark fins represented in the space between the headlights too. The fins as a shape are also replicated in the C-pillar and the taillight. In fact, the overall shape of the car can also be seen as vaguely shark fin shape. The standout design feature for us has to be the character line on the sides, a trademark of the Italian design house Pininfarina, which is owned by Mahindra and has collaborated on the Marazzo. Styling is fresh, exciting and surprisingly restrained, coming from Mahindra. Parallels to the first generation of the Toyota Innova are inevitable, and dimensions too are very similar, thus making it much larger than the current gen Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. With well-entrenched competition in the space, Mahindra pulled out all stops with the Marazzo. Its assets in North America and India collaborated on it, and we have the results after 3.5 years of development and over 2 lakh kilometers of testing. The goal was to maximize interior space, so to that end, the Marazzo has short overhangs front and rear. Inside, the first thing that's apparent is just how deep the dashboard is and how large the windscreen is. There's also an upmarket feel inside the cabin, helped by the use of different finishes and textures, like the piano black insert on the dash and the wonderfully tactile top half of the cabin. The information panel is all new with easy to read dials and a 4.2-inch digital display for telltale. Infotainment is handled by a new 7-inch touchscreen with the usual standards of connectivity, navigation and haptic feedback. Yes, that's right. Just like on your smartphone, it's set to vibrate to register touch actions. It's a feature that sounds exciting, but when you're driving, it doesn't always translate. There's a lot of storage space around the cabin, though the lowered storage on the center stack is set a little low. Details like the aircraft-inspired parking brake lever and roof-mounted air conditioning unit with a diffused air setting aren't just novelties, they work really well. The diffused air setting makes sure second-row passengers don't get a direct blast of cold air and helps in cooling efficiency on a hot day. We can vouch for that. Seating is comfortable up front with large seats and good range of adjustment. The second row is adjustable for legroom as well as incline on the 7-seat variant, while an 8-seat variant with a second row bench is also available. The rear seat of the Marazzo is a nice place, and it's made even better because I don't need these. The Marazzo does get this nifty rear sunshade, which with the ban on UV film, I think every Indian car needs to have this. Now coming to legroom, there's actually a fair amount of it. Right now what you see is the driver's seat set up for my frame, and I'm 5'11", and the rear seat pulled all the way forward. So this is the minimum legroom that you will ever get, and it's still adequate. It's even got a little footrest on the underside of this, so you can angle your feet up. Watch what happens if I pull the seat all the way back. So much more. And the one thing I love doing to test how good knee room is in a car, can I cross my legs? And yes, I can. The left seat on the second row flips and tumbles to allow entry to the third. It's more suited for kids on longer journeys though. 2 adults might be able to do a shorter drive in relative comfort. A slight wheel arch protrusion eats into otherwise adequate space for your feet, though the large window cutout helps passengers from feeling claustrophobic. As far as safety goes, 2 airbags, ABS, seatbelt pre-tensioners and 4-wheel disc brakes are standard. The car will also call emergency services for help if something untoward does happen. Like we said, the 1.5-litre diesel engine and 6-speed gearbox is all new on the Marazzo. Mahindra claims smoother running, quieter operation and better drivability.
Now, this is a brand new engine, and the first thing you notice when you crank it up, Mahindra has spent a fair amount of time developing this brand new engine, and it shows. When we first saw these cars pull up, they sounded pretty refined. Now, when you're sitting behind the driver's seat, at idle, you can't really tell that it's a diesel, but you prod the throttle a little bit and you get a little bit of clatter. But it's not a gruff clatter, so that's a good thing. Another good thing is just how well this engine and gearbox combination work. At very low speeds, just getting off the clutch is enough to get the car rolling. So we see this MPV being very friendly in city traffic. We were also able to get it started in second gear with just slipping the clutch a little bit, just till you get to about a crawl speed and then you're good to go. Gear shifts again are very positive. The box is actually surprisingly nice to use. It's of course mounted quite high up, so it's not at all far from the steering wheel, which makes using it, especially in the city, so much easier. The one thing we did notice was that when you're selecting second gear and if you have your passenger seat pulled forward, then it might foul with the armrest. But I don't see that being a big issue. So as the power and torque figures suggest, this engine makes a lot of its torque quite low down in the rev range. It reaches its peak at just about 1750 RPM, which when you think about it, isn't much at all. So what you get is a nice flat wave of torque that starts swelling from as low as 1300 RPM. So it really makes driving the Marazzo around in a low gear very, very stress-free. Now, we are at the test track and we did get a chance to ring the Marazzo out a little bit, and it does get vocal towards the top of its rev range. But then again, we don't see too many people actually needing to rev it out to get going. The Marazzo makes pretty decent progress even when you're short shifting under 2 to 2500 RPM. Being a 1.5-litre diesel, we expect it to be quite frugal too.
Though the platform is new, the Marazzo continues with the body-on-frame construction in the interest of ride quality, isolation and packaging. The company claims efforts have been made to bring its characteristics as close to a monocoque as possible, especially in terms of handling and body control.
We've seen that the Marazzo rides on 17-inch wheels with Bridgestone rubber. That's par for the course considering the size of the car. And as far as ride quality goes, we're pretty impressed. It is a body on frame, so you do get a little bit of a floaty sensation at speeds above 80 kilometers per hour, but it's not unsettling in the least. Of course, we are on a test track, so we haven't had, the kind of breath that Indian roads can throw at you, but it's handled the little joins in this concrete section very, very well. Speaking about body roll, there is body roll. It's not excessive in terms of how the car leans, but there is some vertical movement that you as the driver can feel and your passengers probably will too. The good thing is, steering for a car that's this large is really well weighted, so it doesn't really let you know that you're driving a large car, and the seating position is such that it's very easy to judge where you're putting the front end of the car. Now, we've had a chance to get the Marazzo up to mid-high triple-digit speed here on the test track. We've also had the chance to test its braking from those speeds, and the brake feel is actually quite confidence-inspiring. Sure, it does travel a little further than you expect it to, but the feel you get from the pedal is nice, solid and assured. The car also brakes in a straight line and keeps its composure, which is commendable for a car this size.
The Marazzo will be available in 4 variants, all powered by a diesel engine mated to a 6-speed manual. For now at least. Mahindra says a petrol and automatic variant will come, though a 4-wheel drive variant isn't confirmed. Immediately, the Marazzo comes across as fresh and importantly like a new product, worthy of the long development it's seen. Styling is restrained yet eye-catching, while the interiors are well thought out and spacious. The driving experience too shows a fair leap forward for Mahindra. We're sure customers will notice and appreciate all this just like we did. All that remains to be seen really is how well the competition, especially in the shape of the new Maruti Suzuki Ertiga, shapes up.